Hey there, I hope you're having a great Monday. I wanted to talk to you today about FICO scores and credit checks because I have a lot of people that come to me all the time wanting to know how the credit checks are going to affect their FICO scores. So I got some information the other day from one of my lenders that I deal with a good bit. And I'm just going to kind of go through some of this stuff so maybe we can go ahead and educate you a little bit about how FICO scores and credit pulls, they affect your credit. So I'm going to read a little bit out of this right now, and it says, when you apply for credit, you authorize those lenders to ask or inquire for a copy of your credit report from the credit bureau. The only inquiries that count towards your FICO scores are the ones that result with the application of new credit. So if you don't get the credit, then it doesn't affect it, is what it's saying. And it says here that soft inquiries such as viewing your own credit report will not affect your credit score. So there's actually two different types of inquiries. There's what they call a soft pull, and then there's actually a hard pull. So let's dive into that. What is a hard inquiry? So when you go car shopping and you apply for financing at the car dealership and they pull the credit report on you, that would be considered a hard pull. Another instance would be when you get pre-approved for a credit card and then you mail in or respond to accept that credit card offer. They would also do a hard pull, which would affect your FICO score. Another thing that will affect your credit score too on a credit card note is a lot of times you'll get a note in the mail or a letter in the mail that says, hey, you've done great, apply for a rate increase or a credit line increase. And then you can go and increase your credit line. When you do that, that's going to affect your credit score because they're going to do a hard inquiry on you. What is a soft inquiry? So when your bank gets an updated FICO score on all of its customers to check the credit quality of their customer base. When they do that, they're just doing a soft pull that does not affect your FICO score. Another thing that does not affect your FICO score is if you go and apply for a new job and that job pulls your credit just to see what type of person you are based on your credit, that does not affect your credit score either. So one of the major questions though that I get, I know personally as a realtor is, what credit inquiries affect my FICO score? And I will typically just direct them to talk to the lender directly because that's more his field of expertise. But let's talk a little bit about this since this came from a lender. And it says that FICO research shows that opening several credit accounts in a short period of time represents greater risk. So if you go out and open up 4 or 5 credit cards, or if you go to finance companies or buy a car and then open up, and then you go say to a furniture store, if you do all this stuff in a short amount of time, it's going to show that you're a greater risk to credit. So that could definitely affect you. It says when the information on your credit report indicates that you have been applying for multiple new credit lines, which is revolving debt, in a short period of time, as opposed to rate shopping for say a house or a car, that's handled differently. We discussed that earlier. Your FICO score can be lower as a result of that. It also goes on to say that although FICO scores also consider inquiries from the last 12 months, inquiries remain on your credit report for 2 full years. So anything that you've applied for in the last 2 years are actually going to stay and stick on top of that credit report. So just keep that in mind too when you start applying for credit. So it says while inquiries often can play a part in assessing risk, they play a minor part, only 10% of what your FICO score is made up of. So you just applying for credit is really only 10% of your FICO score. There's a lot of other things that go into that. It says important factors for your scores are how timely your bills are paid and your overall debt to income burden. They want to make sure that you don't have more debt than you have income, obviously. So here's what you need to know about rate shopping. It says research has indicated that FICO scores are more predictive than they treat loans when they treat loans that commonly involve rate shopping, such as mortgage, auto, and student loans are also included in that as well. For those types of loans, the FICO score basically ignores the inquiries that are made in the 30 days of scoring. So if you find the loan within the 30 days, those inquiries, if you're looking for student loan or a house or a car, they will not really affect your FICO score at all, because they look at it as you rate shopping. So it's not like you're trying to apply for 10 cars, obviously. You're just looking for the best rate for your money. So here's what you need to remember when you go rate shopping. If you need a loan, do your rate shopping with a focused period such as 30 days, which we discussed earlier. FICO scores distinguish between a research for a single loan and a search for many new credit lines. And I think we've basically said that already as well. By part of the length of time over the inquiries occurred. When you look for new credit, only apply for and open new credit accounts as needed. Don't just open them to have them. If you don't need it, it's very wise to not open it if you don't need it. It is good practice to review your credit report and your FICO scores to know where you stand. You never know, especially in today's day and time with people getting hacked and credit fraud everywhere. You probably need to, it's good to keep up with this. It's a good thing to keep up with your FICO scores and make sure that your credit report is right and accurate. Viewing your own information will not affect your FICO scores. So as a general rule, it is okay to apply for credit when needed, but be mindful of this information when you start out looking for credit in the future, if it's looking for a house or a car or whatever, because if you do go out and apply at several different places, it could affect your credit score enough to where you could be denied for that house or car or even that student loan. So I wanted just to share a little bit of information about FICO scores and what does and does not affect your credit, because that's one of the big questions that I get from a lot of my clients. When I tell them, hey, I know you got a lender, but let's go talk to my lender because I think my lender could do a little better job. And a lot of times they worry about their credit score being dropped by doing that and pulling that credit report. But as we see here, those soft pulls don't affect your credit score. They don't affect your FICO score, and you should be just fine. One thing to note, if you're in the home buying process, if you don't know a lender, a lot of times if you'll talk to your realtor, seek out a qualified realtor. I know myself, I can speak for myself anyway. I have multiple lenders that I work with for different types of situations. So I've got certain lenders, if it's a VA loan, I know for sure that person's gonna go over here because that lender does excellent job doing VA loans or FHA loans. But if I have someone who maybe is credit, challenged, then I've also got lenders that they can work with them too, because they do a great job with those type of loans too, helping people who, don't have the best credit or, have less money and they need a certain type of program that they need to be worked into, because there are programs to help for those types of folks. So, I think every realtor probably has multiple lenders that they have, at their disposal to work with based on that client's personal needs. So I hope this was helpful to you. If you have any more questions, feel free to respond, ask me some questions. You can find me anywhere on any of my social media channels. It's Mike Walker, SC Realtor. Also look at my YouTube channel. There's a lot of information there as well. And until the next video, I hope this was helpful. Take care and have a wonderful day.